I wanted to wait for that. Yes, my name is Julia Rente. I am from the Global Campus of Human Rights. We are based here in Venice, Italy, and we are, in essence, the largest network of human rights education in the world. That is our main focus. We work with human rights education, especially a human rights master's, and we connect with right about 100 universities across the world right now. We also do different capacity building and training programs. One is our Threatened Afghan Students and Scholars program, which is what I am connected with. I am the project officer for, and my colleague Imka Steinman is also here, and she works with me on the project. This project was developed right after the fall of Kabul. We wanted to reach out and do what we felt was needed as an educational and academic network with social responsibility. And so we offer a scholarship program to threatened Afghan students and scholars who have a connection to human rights, as that is our focus, and connect them with our university network. We have been doing this for almost 1 year now, and we are continuing this year, and we're moving more into some programs and workshops and networking with this program. And with that, I will hand the floor back over to ASDD to introduce our speakers.
Okay, at this stage, I would like to introduce our honorable speakers. First, we have Ms. Azra Jafari. She is an Afghan politician and women's rights advocate who became the first female mayor in Afghanistan in December 2008. She became the mayor of Nili, the center of Daikundi province of Afghanistan. Ms. Jafari completed her high school in Iran in 2005. After the removal of the Taliban in late 2001 and the establishment of the new Western-backed Karzai administration, she returned and participated in the emergency Loijirga in Kabul. Second, we have Ms. Chiara Zappa. She is a professional journalist since 2001. She has always covered foreign issues, especially the Middle East. At the moment, she works for a group that publishes the magazine Mondo Emissione and the daily news press on online asianews.it. She also writes for other media like the Daily Paper. She's been focusing especially on human rights, women's rights, and minorities' rights. She wrote some books reporting from Middle East. She was involved with many Afghans in Italy and wrote articles and organized conferences on Hazaras conditions. And our third speaker is Ms. Sahra Karimi. She was the former Afghan film director and the first female chairperson of the Afghan Film Organization. She has directed 30 short films, 3 documentary films, and 1 fiction film, Hawa Mariam Aisha, which has the world premiere at 76th Venice Film Festival. Prior to the fall of Kabul to the hands of the Taliban, she was the first and the only woman to be directing Afghanistan's film entity. We are very grateful to have you in our today's webinar. Now I would give the space to our speakers, and first I would like to invite Ms. Azra Jafari. Ms. Jafari, you were the first female mayor in Afghanistan. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences in this position? Why do you think the Taliban is so against women in government and as lawyers?
First, I would like to say hello to every people who participate in this webinar, and also thank you for Women Solidarity Association and Global Campus to invite me to this vulnerable webinar. I, as a first female mayor of Afghanistan, I have many good experience and bad experience. I would like started how I become a mayor. When I came back in 2002, after United States and then a coalition came to Afghanistan. So it's the new generation of Afghanistan. They have a lot of hope and they get energy to come back to Afghanistan to work. So I was one of them. And then I come back to Afghanistan and I started with emergency Loijerge. Before that, I participated in Swiss Peace Conference, that it was including a lot of all civil activists and women rights activists and advocate people who works for peace. So I invited for that conference. And then when I came back, and again, I am invited to be a member of Emergency Loijerge. So my work started from after I was refugee. When then I come back, it started from Emergency Loijerge, and I saw a lot of differences between men and women rights in this Loijerge, and it is I become started make a question for myself: why always men are in the front line? Why always men should be take decision for the woman? And then the women who participate in this Loijerge, always they waiting to see how men they get allow them to speak, or allow them to say, or even they say for a very important decision, like if they want to select it, for example, they want to talk about the a government system on that time, and then who should become a president. So always women watching the man mouth what they are saying, when they are allowed them to talk or not, or stop. So that's why I thinking it should be something, it should be changed. So I started to work for women and advocate about the rights of women. And I had a association by the name Women Equal Rights Association. And then after that, on 2008, before that one, I want to tell about my education. I finished my education in Kabul in 2005 as a midwife. I graduated as a midwife, and I have honor to deliver baby, help the moms, more than 250 babies. And then Siddiqa Mushtaq was my classmate. So I graduated from midwife, but when I saw the situation of Afghan women, and also the situation of the Afghanistan about the women's rights, so I turned to started fighting against women, fighting for women's rights. And then I trying to, because I thought as a midwife, it is good, I have to, if I support women as a midwife, but this is a very small place that I can help a small number of women. But if I join to a big event, if I join in a big circle, I can help more women to be involved with the different sections. So that's why when I heard about the Nili municipality looking for a mayor, so I thought I was a person who works for women many years. I wrote a book for women's rights by the name I Am a Woman Worker. But in this book, I write it about the women's rights and human rights, and also the women's rights in labor market in Afghanistan. And then before that, I also wrote a geographical book for the Afghan children refugees in Iran. When I was in Iran as a teenager, I teach the teenagers. I establish refugee school for the children. So we didn't, the new generation, they didn't know anything about Afghanistan, especially about the geography, about the culture, about the language. They don't know anything. So I decided make a small booklet for the Afghan refugees children. And it was a small introduction about the Afghanistan, about the mapping, about the what is the industry, what is the language, what is the ethnicities, all is about, it was inside that book. So when I come back, so I started, I write it when I saw the problem, woman has many problems in the labor market, especially when they work in ministries, in the they work as a lower places, and then lower position, and also in that position they like abuse them. So that's why. And then also I saw in the even in the house, in their houses, they use the men always, they use their right, and they abuse the Islam against the woman to push them back, and then they do whatever they want with women. So that's why I started writing that booklet, and then we started teaching this booklet for the women in the different centers. After I become a mayor, first, the problem was the traditional society like Afghanistan, they cannot accept a woman as a mayor, because they think mayor job, it is only for men. They think this is a manly job, and the woman cannot. So when I went to present myself and my ability as a mayor, first they said, even my family, they said, you know, we proud of you. You are so brave. You want to go as a mayor, but you know, here is Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is a country that dominated by the man and warlords. So this is a tough situation for a woman to deal with this position. So it is good for you to don't run for the mayor. Looking for another job, looking for another position. It is many positions for women. So why are you looking for mayor? But after I convinced my family, so I talked with I started negotiation for this job. And then I think the government, first they're thinking, oh, this is a good time to present a woman mayor to the international countries. And then we take it a lot advantage of this, because when we announced a woman mayor is in Afghanistan, we have the first female mayor in Afghanistan, might be we collected more donation for Afghanistan. But they don't believe women they are able to do this job. So after I become a mayor, even government, they don't announce until 2.5 months my position. When I went to Daikundi, I started to work, and I started establish, even I don't have office, I don't have teamwork. So I established my office, I established create my teammate and everything. And then I make a survey, come back to Kabul, because Afghanistan, it is a centralized government. Every decision comes from Kabul. So I came back to the Kabul, and when I talked with the IDLG, or the independent administration for local governance, asking for support me about the budget, because Daikundi municipality doesn't have any budget to support, to start some project, and when I get revenue, I can give them back as a loan. But the deputy of IDLG told me, you know, first I wanna make sure you wanna stay as a mayor or not. After 2.5 months, I left my 3-year-old daughter in the Kabul, I went there just, I want to make a, you know, a base. I want to make base and then bring her. So after that, ask me, are you sure you want to stay as a mayor or not? First this one. Then after I convinced them 100%, I am the person when I selected be a mayor, so I am continue until the end. So after that one, government announced that my position, that they appointed a first female mayor in Afghanistan in 2008. Then the other things is when I went to the Nili, the problem was the governor of Daikundi, he appointed a man before me as unofficial as a mayor, and he sold many lands to the people, and they took money without have any document. And then when I came, I went to that city, and people, they find out, oh, I am officially a mayor. All people came to me and asked for their land and their money, but that I didn't have anything. So people was very angry, and they don't like any municipality in this city. And then I don't have car. When I go to the governor campus, it was 3 miles or 3.5 kilometers. I have to walk to that campus. But always I try to cross the bazaar or the market or the city, because people might be beat me, because they were so angry about the previous one. So first things, I have to make a trust for these people. I am the person came to work for you, and they bring a change. So it's take a little time, but it is coming this time. And the second things, it was a very religious people. They don't like women. Unfortunately, the problem was they think when women take a high position level in Afghanistan, they think their femininity to get this position. That's why they don't believe the woman, they can bring some change. So I, as a woman, I have to change this kind of thought also. So this was my responsibility. So then I thinking with myself, I am not only a mayor here, I am a representative of all women of Afghanistan to take this position. So I have to bring some change also. I have to work for women. First, I am mayor. Second, I am a woman. So I have to make my decision, my plan, according this to fact. And after 4 months, I work hard and I make position plan, short time and long term. Then I came back again to because municipality, it was new, they don't have any budget. I have to looking for budget, and according to the municipality law, government or central government, they don't give budget for the municipalities. The municipalities are responsible for their own budget. So when I go back again to the government, hey, I don't have any budget, please support me, even borrow me, I can give it to you back, but first I have to establish something. And they didn't give it to me. So I went door to door, I just knocked the door, every single embassies, every single NGOs, please support me as a woman. When all the internationals trying to talking about the empowering women, trying to talk about the capacity building for women. This is, I am the woman, I came here in front of you, I want to say, I have capacity, I am powerful, but I don't have budget. Please support me about this. But most of the budget was very short term for the capacity building women, for the workshops, for the seminars, not for the infrastructure, not for the public service for the municipality. So this is my big challenges in Daikundi when I started. The other things is, as I mentioned, it's about the femininity. people, as soon as I talk with two men, they thinking, oh, might be something happen. When I come back after many challenges, I bring a group of engineers from USAID to Daikundi to support me, and we survey what kind of project we needed. So when people saw me with the 3 foreign men and 2 Afghan men, and then started again some gap, and then the head of Islamic mullah, religious mullah in Daikundi, he came to my office, very angry, without talking, without anything. Stop in front of the door. I offer her, please sit, and I bring it some tea for you. Said, no, I don't want to eat your tea. Just he shouting, and then he took it like that. Hey, you came to this city, you most welcome. You came here, it is okay. We are happy you came. You are a Hazara girl. You are a Muslim girl. You have to be very with discipline. We don't need that you bring any change in this city. We don't need that you work for us, but we needed you be a woman, as Muslim woman, and you have to be very principled. You have to keep your honor and principle as a woman. That is for us. And that woman, that at that time, I couldn't say anything. I said, okay, thank you so much for coming to my office. I would like you come more and more. And I would like talk and work with you guys very closely. So I would like hear from you more. What kind of project you needed? What kind of behavior I have to have it? And then just please let me know. Anytime I had any problem, you think I have any problem, please come to my office and just tell me what I have to do. But fortunately, after 3 months, that mullah came back to my office, and then he appreciated very warmly, and then he promised me he'd support me very in any kind of support I needed. He support me, and then he was a good supporter, and until 6 years I was a mayor in that city. So this is some challenges. The other challenges was about the security. Anytime I went to from Kabul to Daikundi, because I have to looking for budget, I have to travel a lot between Kabul and Daikundi. So this part of area, it wasn't safe because I have to pass several provinces, and then they dominated by the Taliban. They had checkpoint, they had fighting with the government. So I rescue from several bomb explosion. I rescue from several road bomb site attack. And then at the end, they trying to kidnap me, and they kidnapped my friend, as they thought she is me, because we had planned to move to Kabul on that afternoon. But fortunately, a group of U.S. Special Forces came from Kandahar to Nili to join had a meeting with me about the new project. So I have to stay at Nili, and then my friend, she left. When she left, but they arrested her for 24 hours. After they find out she is not the mayor of Daikundi, so then they release her. This is all the challenges. But the good things was, when I get in this position, I started working for women. I think they asked me to give them some opportunity. Okay,
Okay, Ms. Jafari, why do you think that Taliban is so against women in government and as lawyers?
This question is very important, because as we women knows about the Taliban since 1990 to 1998, we know what's happened in that during the Taliban regime in the past. Taliban, it is a group that based on ideology. This ideology is never get changed. And according to their ideology, women are a second grade, and then they are after man. Man is everything, and the men are masters for women. So when this ideology is not changed, so that's why they don't, when you are not in the first grade, and when you are not equal with man, so how you can sit beside the man, shoulder by shoulder beside the man? So that's why Taliban, they don't accept this one. They cannot accept it. And then they don't believe woman is, as a human, have some kind of rights. This is the important one reason. The other reason is Taliban knows woman is, this woman, the new generation of women are not the past 20 years women. They are highly educated. They know about their rights. They know about the freedom. They know about the freedom of speech. They know about the civil rights. So they are very powerful, and they have a very good full skill. So now if the Taliban, who fighting during at least 30 years, just fighting, and then unfortunately they raise the children in madrasas as their ideology, just only they teach them how to they fight. They don't teach them how to governance, how to educate, how to negotiate like peacefully, how to bring change, positive changes. And then they don't teach them how woman, it is a human, a part of this society. You cannot ignore them. So when you cannot compare women and men, especially Taliban's, with the women right now. So when they saw this kind of differences, they are scared of women. They cannot be, works, for example, they cannot accept a woman as a minister, and then, for example, a Talib man as a minister, when I'm sure woman is more powerful than that man. So this is the problem for that one. And why they don't like it as a lawyer, because if the woman is all the law in Afghanistan, it is writing by women, by men. I forget the exact word. In most of the judge, most of the people who works in the judiciary places, who the people who make it laws are men. So if women should be a lawyer, they can create a law that it should be man and woman should be equal with them, as we did when I was a part of a Constitution Commission in 2003 and 2004. We created a new constitution for Afghanistan. In this constitution, we put that men and women are equal in front of the law. Men and women have right to go to school. Men and women has right to elected and selected. So this is very challenging for Taliban as a group, that they don't believe women, and then scared of the woman to be in high position and very powerful.
Thank you, Ms. Jafari, for your thoughtful experiences. We really enjoyed, and women of Afghanistan are really proud of you. So now we have Ms. Chiara Zappa.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Zappa, as an Italian journalist, can you describe your experience with Afghanistan and how true to fact international media is portraying it?
Well, good afternoon. Well, first of all, I want to thank Azra for her brilliant and touching sharing.
No, non c'è andata a casa, però se hai bisogno puoi contattarla, nel senso che è andata a lavorare a casa.
There is,
Ah, ok.
to chat. Someone should. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So thanks, Azra, because you are an inspiration, really. And thank the organizers of this event who invited me and all the participants. Regarding the coverage of Afghanistan and the issue of women's rights by Western media, I think we can say that there have always been limits and prejudices in this narrative, often dictated by the geopolitical interests of the moment. Already at the time of the war of the Mujahideen against the Soviets, for example, these Mujahideen were portrayed in Western media as the brave and modern fighters. You think how Ahmad Shah Massoud was painted, as the Lion of Panjshir, without even mentioning that in most cases, they too had in mind to create an Islamic Emirate. But above all, that they too, in their own families, carried on a patriarchal social model in which women had to be hidden from social life. And then at the time of the first Taliban government, the media, the international media, began to say that these terrorists were enemies of women, which was true, obviously, but without ever addressing the problem that in many, especially rural areas of the country, the patriarchal way of life was widely shared by the population. Azra told something about this already. For example, the influence of the Pashtun Wali in the uses of the Pashtun was not mentioned ever. So as the difference that existed between the various ethnic and cultural groups of the country, a difference which, as always happens in human societies, was not an absolute, obviously no, since it's always the single person who makes the difference, yes, but which was relevant and which would have been important to know and to recognize, also to guide political action and cooperation projects. Well, I can say that in general, we have been using easy slogans instead of trying to go under the surface. And analyzing the way Western media covered Afghan women's rights in these past 2 decades, we always see this pervasive narrative of Afghan Muslim girls needing to be saved. Those women behind burqas, in a way, became invisible objects and pure victims, even in the eyes of the West, not just in the eyes of the Taliban. We have ignored generations of Afghan women who have organized on their own behalf. And that narrative was created by non-Afghan journalists, of course. So the way these women have been portrayed has very little to do about these women, because, as I said, talking about them, it was people not coming from the communities. Many times we had Western men speaking on behalf of Afghan girls about the tribulations that they have to endure because of the religion. That was the narrative. Because also we have a good amount of religious prejudice in that. So if you notice, what we call domestic violence when we talk about the West, United States or Europe, we call it a honor killing when it happens in Afghanistan or generally in a Muslim country. And we know that after 9/11, especially in the United States, but even in Europe, we have been assisting to a lot of media misrepresentation of Muslim people. And also on the wars in Muslim countries, they were depicted not as political wars, geopolitical wars, but as humanitarian interventions on the pretense of liberating Muslim women from Muslim men. Now I exaggerate, but just to give you an idea what I mean. So if it's not fake news to claim that Taliban governance is devastating for women's lives, obviously, but it's misleading to hint that this is a consequence of Islam rather than the result of the Taliban's totalitarianism, the Taliban's ideology, who Azra was talking about. And in a similar way, it is true that during the decade of Western intervention in Afghanistan, many girls and women in some specific areas of the countries, in the big cities, have enjoyed more professional opportunities and access to the public sphere. That's true, but we cannot ignore that in a huge areas, it was not the case. And not so far from the big cities, not so far from Kabul. Sometimes we didn't have electricity, we didn't have schools and so on. And above all, the consequences of Western military intervention in terms of poverty, in terms of violence, fell on women and girls more than on anybody else in these decades. And as it always happens, after the first period of massive attention to the country, to the war on terror and so on, we slowly started to focus on other emergencies, other areas of the world, and slowly forgetting about Afghan women, with some exceptions. Maybe when we had the chance to interview a high-profile guest, like, a glamorous actress, who was, advocating maybe for Afghan women's rights. Talking about the Italian case, I must say that from time to time, we publish a story regarding a particular extraordinary woman, a politician, a judge, an artist, but often focusing just on her special case, maybe her exceptional strength, and forgetting the net of the women around her and the work that they were trying to carry on all together. So now coming to 1 year ago, when Taliban got back in power in Afghanistan, well, first of all, we pretended, one thing that I found very weird, we pretended this big surprise with the media, when in fact, the United States has signed a formal agreement with the Taliban in Doha, Qatar. So it was the America letting the Taliban go back in power in the country. But apart from that, going back to the women, we noticed once more this narrative that Afghan women needed outside intervention in order to be rescued. So in the media coverage, there was the idea that as long as Western powers were in the country, there was someone protecting Afghan women. And so now that they are leaving, there's no one to protect them anymore. Also, there is this depiction of Afghan women that's very particular, as women as only valuable and brave when they somehow support foreign powers in demonizing Afghan men with no exceptions. And we don't talk about the network of women, as I said, who have been trying and still try to counter violent extremism, working in education and culture, grassroots level, to propose a different model of familial and social relationship. That is what we should do. And I think that we also should give voice to Afghan men, the Afghan men who refuse the patriarchal model and who dare to work with and for their wives, daughters, sisters, mothers. I think that today, in this dramatic situation that we all have to address, the most important thing for us journalists is helping our public opinion to listen to what Afghan women have to say, and Afghan people in general. Because if we did that 21 years ago, and during these past 2 decades, probably things would have gone in a different direction. but we have spoken over their voices for so long, you know. So now it's time to give back voice to the people that are directly impacted, the ones who are still in the country and the ones who had to leave, and allow them to speak for themselves, to lead us on what has to be done for their benefit and for their future. So I would say, let's listen to Afghan women and support Afghan women. Thanks.
Thank you so much for the wonderful sharing, and a special thanks for being a voice to voiceless.
Thank you.
Now I would invite Ms. Sahra Karimi to share with us. Ms. Karimi, film often can help to bring a story to life and attention to a subject. What can we do to help keep alive and focus on the deteriorating status of women and girls in Afghanistan, especially regarding education and the continued closure of schools?
Hi everybody, thank you very much for having me here. And I strongly believe in storytelling. It means that storytelling is a very powerful tool to share your idea, your thoughts, your life, your struggles, your achievements with the world. And cinema and film is a very universal language. So through cinema and through films, you can communicate with the world easily. You know, all of you, of course, you went to watch films from different countries. For example, Italians, they went to cinema to watch films from China, or for example, Afghans went to cinema to watch films from, I don't know, Mongolia. Or so language of cinema is universal. We should use this universal language to communicate with the world. Unfortunately, let me to give you some information regarding the storytelling and cinema industry in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, when the international community, they decided to help Afghanistan, they decided to go to Afghanistan and to somehow to empower women of Afghanistan, to empower Afghanistan itself, and to help the rebuild Afghanistan. They were investing in many sectors, in many sections, but they didn't invest very much in culture and art, and especially in filmmaking. So I strongly believe that cinema is a kind of window to the identity of a nation. Through cinema, you can understand a lot about people of those countries or people of those regions. It means that through cinema, which is as I told you, it is a universal language, and also nowadays it is very easy and it is a very easy reachable medium. You can tell a lot about what is going on inside the country. Unfortunately, during past 20 years, the international community and their aides went to many other sections. They didn't try to empower filmmakers. They didn't try to help filmmakers, independent filmmakers, to tell their stories. And the kind of narrative that filmmakers of Afghanistan, majority of filmmakers in Afghanistan, they have been created. It was a victim narrative about Afghan women. It means that they decided so much to show Afghan women as victims. Of course, in patriarchal society, in uneducated society, in a male-dominated society, there are many victims, female victims, of course. But I can assure you, and today you have Azra Jafari here as an example, and among your participants are very good and empowered women of Afghanistan. That women of Afghanistan during last 20 years, they were very active participants of development of Afghanistan. They were. But the narrative about Afghan women, it wasn't very active. It was a victim narrative. And unfortunately, international media and also local media, they support that narrative. So today, when again, international community, international media, and I don't know, even local media, they want to support this narrative that the Afghan women are bigger and bigger, okay? So again, they want to show Afghan women, okay, they are begging for bread, but this is not true. So I was a student during last 20 years and I left. I went to Afghanistan when I immediately finished my study, okay? And but when I finished my study, I went to Afghanistan because I wanted to be a storyteller of my people. I didn't care that north, east, or west of the country. For me, womanhood and telling the story of women of my country was so much important that I left everything that I had in Europe and I returned to Afghanistan. But I am just one filmmaker, and we were just 5, 6 very good filmmakers that we could use, and we could use this professional language of filmmaking to share our stories. But to be honest, we didn't get any support from inside our country because our country didn't believe in cinema, didn't believe in the power of cinema. Our nation didn't believe in power of storytelling. Outside, which is international community, they didn't want to show and to share our narrative to the world. I tell you a very clear example about Hawa Maryam Aisha. Hawa Maryam Aisha is a very independent film, very independent movie. It didn't have any support of government or local. It didn't have also support of international. I worked for UNICEF almost two years to save money to make this film. But when I had my premiere at Venice Film Festival, every almost single person among the audience, they asked, "Oh, Afghan woman can have an iPhone? Oh, Afghan woman can think about like abortion? Oh, there is a possibility that Afghan woman can get divorced." So these questions, this very simple primitive question, comes from where? From lack of information about Afghanistan. So I know that my foreign friends, they don't like my very direct comment, but I believe that there is a specific agenda internationally and nationally, okay, that stupid Taliban, they support that agenda somehow, okay, that they want to introduce Afghanistan as a very I don't know, beggar nation, and also they want to also keep this narrative about Afghan women that they are not capable of having equal rights and equal education and equal services and opportunities. I strongly believe in this, okay? I'm so sorry to tell it. Today, Afghan women are the loneliest women on the earth. All feminist organizations, human rights organizations, all those who carry this slogan, "Let's fight for equality," they left alone Afghan women. Afghan women are in their fight, they're alone. 1 year they are going. Number 1, number 200, they are going to the street and they are demonstrating against this brutality. But look, one of the most feminist country, which is Norway, they are having a meeting and conference with our killers. We're very anti-woman group, which is Taliban. So think about it. Think about it. What is going on? Okay, we can share our ideas. We can share all information about Afghan women. I can tell you, I can give you 1,000 pages lecture how cinema is important. But in this very international cooperation, when international community, they don't help us, they don't cooperate with us, we don't need they help us, okay? Like they give us, they show us something. We know already. We had 20 years to get educated. We had 20 years like to know about ourselves, our ability. This is my generation also, you know. But we need international support in different level, in different sector to support Afghan women in their fights. Otherwise, okay, it is useless. I come here and tell you what is the importance of cinema. We know this importance of cinema, but how we can use this a very powerful tool to reflect our stories, to reflect our struggles. Look, for example, there is a demonstration in Afghanistan. Okay, women, there are demonstrating in Afghanistan, but a Western journalist they taking selfie with the Taliban. How I am so grateful that I have a selfie with the Taliban group. Okay, this is also cinema, picture, audio, visual, any kind of audio visual material is reflecting to tell a story, small story or big story. We are fighting, but our friends in Western media, journalists, they are creating and they are supporting this whitewashing narrative about the Taliban. And they try to teach us from Afghanistan that our killers, this very terrorist group, this very anti-woman group, this very fundamentalist group, they have been changed. They want to, okay, sorry, you weren't in Afghanistan. You didn't see how, for example, my colleagues, very young colleagues, 2 years, 20 years, 23 years, they have been killed. An explosion by the Taliban. You didn't see, you didn't witness among of fears that we were facing during this 20 years, but we went to work because we believe and we believe in our country. Okay, look, you are telling cinema. I tell you one example. Here is sitting the first mayor of a female mayor of Afghanistan, Azra Jafari. She is sharing her story, part of her story. She struggled a lot, but she is so kind that she's just sharing few fragments of it. She is the first. She were struggling a lot, okay? But today, a US production house producing a film about another brave woman of Afghanistan, which she is brave, okay, but she has her own very own quality, but they promote her as the first mayor of Afghanistan. But they have the first mayor in their own country, and they even don't recognize that. This is the narrative. This is misinformation. Afghan women are not beggars. Afghan women are not victims. Afghan women are not even very heroes, okay? They are human beings. They want to have their own very life. This is, you can promote, I as a filmmaker can promote, cinema can promote, radio can promote, newspaper can promote, but please don't divide us. Don't divide us to this very black and white. Let's see the gray part. Let's see those women that are really trying to achieve something, and they want to achieve something. Women of Afghanistan, I just want to make it short. Women of Afghanistan, they didn't miss any single day of the opportunity that they had during past 20 years. But the international community and also our very corrupt politicians, they missed thousands days of communicating with us. Okay, the international community, they don't want to talk with the new generation of Afghanistan, men and women. Okay, the new generation of Afghanistan is a bright generation. They are educated. They communicate with the world with their own language, which is English or German or whatever. Okay, so please listen to us. Please do not talk with our killers, with our very enemies, which we call the Taliban, because I believe the Taliban are just a name, but there are many big agendas behind that. But talk to us. Show our films, show our stories, talk to us and listen to us, not like just taking some notes and okay, finish this event, finish and give report and ciao and we go another event. No, take some action. Take some action. For example, Global Campus, I really ask you to give as much as you can scholarship to women who are in Italy and to men also, okay? Because I believe future of Afghanistan is a feminine future, you know? We can do a lot. So you please support this narrative that you should support Afghan women and do not support that narrative that we are beggars. Thank you. I think I didn't answer to your question but this is me, unfortunately.
Thank you so much. You really impressed us. And what you speak about the truth, it's very appreciable. Thank you so much. And as I see that many Afghan women who really fought for the girls and women of Afghanistan participated for this webinar, I'm really happy and I extend my appreciation on behalf of the team. Thank you so much for coming to this webinar. So now we have the space for the participants to ask their questions. They can write in the chat or raise hands. So we have so many. So first we would go with Saima Kokar. Please mention the speaker that you want to ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Saima Kakar, Afghan journalist and a women rights activist. I'm studying journalism at Kabul University, Communication and Journalism faculty. And my question is from Ms. Sahra Karimi. You talked about the agenda that the Taliban have created and they use it to push women, right? So my question is that you, as a women rights activist, have you any agenda or any idea for us to use it against the Taliban to defend our basic rights and to raise our voices? Have you any idea or any suggestion or solution?
First of all, thank you for your question. I don't have any agenda because I don't belong to any political group, to any specific group. I belong to womanhood, which I believe in womanhood. Okay, I believe in our femininity and womanhood. Okay. I, as a filmmaker, in my capacity, in my ability, I am a storyteller. And when I finished my study in 2012, I returned to Afghanistan. And from the moment that I returned to Afghanistan till today that I'm speaking to you, I always try to talk about women of Afghanistan, their needs, their rights, and I used any kind of cinematic platform to share our stories, to defend our rights, and to fight against the Taliban. I strongly support the hashtag do not recognize the Taliban. I had any opportunity to talk about my films, I turn it to the speech for women of Afghanistan. This is the capacity that I have. Maybe some other people, they have a higher level capacity, but I am a filmmaker. And I believe that filmmakers and cinema world, they should recognize our stories, not just sad, dark stories, but also those stories that they are talking about positive reality of Afghanistan. Positive reality of Afghanistan is women of Afghanistan. Women of Afghanistan, the new generation of Afghanistan, are the real story and the real history of Afghanistan. The Taliban are just fragments of our history. They are a very dark and black fragments of our history, and they are parasites, you know. So in I do my best, okay, because I'm not superpower, I'm just storyteller. For example, few days ago at Venice Film Festival, there was a panel discussion about women, and Italian, very famous Italian politician, she organized that event. So that event also I could speak about my future film, but no. For example, Hawa Mariam Aisha, this is a story about women. Afghan Woman Behind the Wheel, which is my another film, it is about women. So I use any kind of ability that I am capable to use, okay, to defend women of Afghanistan, because I was part of the development of Afghanistan. Maybe I was part of the cultural developments, but somebody was another political part of the Azra was part of the political development of our countries. And so we were witness of many achievements. So what we are talking, it is not just like some information we gathered from social media. No, because we are the testimony, a live testimony of our country. So I never betrayed women of Afghanistan, and I'm not going to betray women of Afghanistan because I am a woman from Afghanistan.
Exactly. So, because you're living abroad, Afghanistan, right? What do you think the United Nations have any specific program for us?
You know, there are always programs. United Nations, all those big organizations, there are always programs. But those programs, they need to have a priority. Today, unfortunately, we are not as much as important as, like, for example, Ukraine war, because Ukraine is a part of Europe, and it is a very important issue. They cannot close their eyes, okay? But we shouldn't. We Afghan women, we Afghan people in general, we shouldn't wait like that United Nations should create for us a program, a specific program, then they provide us a platform, then we can talk. We should start to have an initiative. Like now, these girls, they have these webinars. They establish their own organizations. So this kind of activity, even a small activity to big activities, and being active participants and talk loudly without with respect to everything that we have, but talk truly and loudly. So we should keep alive the conversation about Afghanistan. If we don't keep alive a conversation about Afghanistan, that people will forget. There are thousands issues around the world that are very important, okay? Even we think that no, they are not important, but as our issue, Afghan women are important for us, maybe in Kenya, they have their own important issue. So we should keep alive the conversation about Afghanistan in general and the conversation about Afghan women in particular, and to push people to listen to us. You know, sometimes we need to push people to listen to us, to be visible. We should have, as much as we can, we should have visibility. Visibility, it means that to talk and to talk and to talk and to create text, any kind of text, to create content, okay?
Yeah.
It means that to report, to write reports, to tell stories, I don't know, to do interviews with our women that they did a lot of good job in past and they achieved many good things. So
Yeah, exactly.
keeping these things alive, then we are visible. Otherwise, we cannot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
Thank
the fact is that we never gave up. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Cocker and Ms. Karimi. So now we have a question in the chat box from Liu Fruit that he has asked from Ms. Jafari. He mentioned that you closed by saying that you were part of the process of writing the Constitution of Afghanistan in 2002 and 2003. Could you describe this process a bit with respect to how women were included and how you look back on this moment? Thank you. If you could please make it a little bit short because of the timing. Thank you.
I believe you are on mute.
I forget. Thank you. When we started rewriting the new constitution for Afghanistan, so we talk a lot for the. I as a woman, I went to the women. I asked them what kind of right they needed, what is the problem for this law and constitution. So so I try to, I and plus my colleagues, they trying to find what kind of solution, what kind of law and right for women we have to put and add it. So this new constitution, we made it that constitution, and then in this constitution, everybody, men and women, can find themselves inside this constitution. And during these 20 years, this constitution, we acting, we practicing, and we use it, and it was very useful, and it was a very powerful voice for women. Always, everywhere when they had problem, they could bring out this constitution. According to this constitution, I have right to vote, I have right to select it, I have the right to elect it. So, and then I have right to go to educate and go to work. But unfortunately, now Taliban, they don't accept this constitution, and they're trying to make their own narrative about the law in Afghanistan. But according to 20 years experience, and then women now they don't accept this narrative. They're trying to use their right. Doesn't matter how and when and where, for how many. For example, if they can, they go to the street, even with five women, but they raise their voice. Now they cannot go to school, but they started teaching our daughter in the houses. This is not a solution. This is not a good solution, but it is one of the solution for now. But we have to keep trying and pushing to women go back to the society. They have to go back to the school. They have to walking physically inside the society. So this is I think if I understand about the question, it was correct. I answer it, or how is that? Hello?
I think so.
Yeah. So when we created that constitution, so it was women, they find themselves and then they work and then they get educated, they get powerful, and then they use that constitution for 20 years. For now, they use that one, but because the Taliban, they don't accept this constitution, so they get their own narrative, but women, they don't accept that one. That's why we have protests. That's why we have fighting about women's rights, and that's why we are here. We're talking about women's rights and human rights in Afghanistan, and we have to create a new policy how we can support the women in Afghanistan to continue to use this right according to Afghanistan constitution, because this constitution still is constitution of Afghanistan.
Thank you. Now we have a question from Sajjad Ali to Ms. Chiara Zappa. He mentioned that, in your opinion, how and why the so-called civilized world, including the UN, failed the Afghan society in general and Afghan women in particular in last 2 decades?
You are muted.
Yes, that's it. I made it. So the question is about the failure, of the international.
Yes, about the failure of UN and.
So it's a very, very huge question, and I don't know if someone can really answer in the total and put together the total factor that they brought to this failure. So probably some people that are here in this webinar can tell more than me, but some things that I would like to put together on, because I also myself and other colleague journalists has been, obviously we have been trying to answer this question before. And so one thing is probably there was too many things. One of the things is that probably we, the international community, we didn't have the courage to focus on a totally new political class in Afghanistan. What I mean is that, as you know better than me, in many situations in Afghanistan, even at the government level, and also on the lower level in the regional, gubernatorial or municipal level, we had this sometimes with this choice to again choose the old warlords, old leaders of ethnical communities, as you know, because they could ensure a big support from their own communities. So that was the idea, at least. So there was not the courage to try something completely new for many reasons. And so this choice put to widespread corruption at many levels. So the money came in the country, and then it went to the wrong direction. It didn't go to the right aims, and didn't go to the, I think, first of all, it didn't go to the right people, to the honest people, the new generation that wanted, like Azra Jafari, she explained that they had many ideas and they had a very low budget, you know, and so I think that's not an exception. Also for many reasons, for political choices and for corruption, for sure. And also I think that if you see the huge amount of money that in these 20 years found a way to Afghanistan, I think that just a small part of that money went to programs aimed to, for culture programs, for school programs. Yes, we had that programs, but compared to the money that went to, military supply and corruption and so on, it was not, I think it was not the main focus. Also, I think that sometimes the programs, the international programs, both by the nations, like the cooperation by United States, Italy, or the foreign states, and also the programs by the United Nations or international big organization, also some NGOs, some of them, maybe the big ones. These programs, part of them didn't, I think, probably you can, for sure, you can give me your opinion on this point, didn't keep in mind the cultural and traditional basis of the some regions' culture, so they couldn't find the right way to talk to the right people, maybe local leaders, or also local new leaders like women, maybe, a small women organization that already worked at grassroots level, and maybe those organizations who had the faith and the confidence from their own communities, those actors would have been the right ones to be, empowered, to have the money, to have the help, to have the support, to go and touch the real core of the society, core of Afghan society. So I think one of the problems, the level of media, as I told before, and the same at the level of political action, cooperation, was superficiality, not being able to go under the surface and knowing the real channels through which help. And so that's probably part of the answer. I don't know, there are so many other answers. But I would like to ask you one question, all of you and the speakers, obviously, above all, from this, okay. Also, for example, also Sahra Karimi, she was saying, don't collaborate, don't have any contact with the Taliban, with our torturers. So I would like to ask your opinion on that. Right now, do you think, because part of the terrible poverty that we see now in the country is because the failure, the money from outside, both the money, the government money, the budget of the Afghanistan state, and also the international help is not coming to the country for the boycott. So what do you think? Is it right going on boycotting the country because of its governments, or we should find some ways to, to have relationship with Afghanistan in its reality nowadays? Reality.
Okay, can I, Azra John, can I answer?
Please
Sure.
lift it a bit.
Okay.
Ask you.
What I'm telling, please don't take it personally. And I just want to tell you something, okay? Do you think that these 7 billion or I don't know something that they sent to Afghanistan during that 20 years, it really went directly to people of Afghanistan and to need of people of Afghanistan? No.
Yes,
In a moment, because I was working with UNICEF for almost 2 years, and I am so very much familiar with the system of financing of international aid. Majority of this money goes somehow back to Europe, to international community, to these countries, under the pretext of I don't know, salary, taxing money, and everything these things. Okay. You talk about that people of Afghanistan are suffering of poverty and they are suffering. Okay, who created that? People of Afghanistan.
well, and I agree.
I just let me to answer the question, because you asked a question and I am going to answer it. It is not about I said don't take it personal. It is about
that's what I said. But I would like to understand what you think it should be done right now. I know I completely agree with you with the causes.
Okay, the thing is that they made a deal with the Taliban 2 years, like in 2019 or 20. They made a deal with the Taliban, okay, with one group who are from very specific ethnicity and one language they speak, okay. But Afghanistan is not a country for a specific ethnicity. Afghanistan is a multicultural, multicultural, multi-ethnic country. Okay, we have North, which is totally different ethnicity with different mentality. We have South, which is total different ethnicity. We need to rebuild Afghanistan. Is unfortunately, it is not that easy, because we need to cooperate with each other. What the international community is trying to create is a division between us. Again, that we hate each other, and we hate, for example, Pashtuns hate Hazaras hate Tajiks, and those things. Okay, this is not correct. We are multi-ethnic country. That country belongs to every single person who is from Afghanistan. The international community is sending every single week. This is a very official report. Almost 20 to 23 $1 million to the Taliban government. Where is that money? Okay, where is that money? The same mistake they are doing right now, they did it during past 20 years. For example, the most projects that they were implementing during past 20 years, they just implementing in north or in the central of Afghanistan. They never implemented in the south, okay? So there is people in south of Afghanistan, they didn't have a proper education, they didn't have any proper access to services, to international services, they were aware of many things, okay, they needed to leave, so they joined the terrorist group. This is so clear, okay. Now they want to do the same thing but in different level, okay. The international community in general, they are not sending 100% of their budget to us, to be honest. They are just sending part of their budget to Afghanistan. Majority of that money returns to those countries, and I am eyewitness of that process. So we don't want that you cooperate with our killers and do not listen to us, like international community. We are the owner of Afghanistan. We people of Afghanistan, the new generation of Afghanistan, I don't care about who is Pashtun, Tajik, Uzbek. The new generation of Afghanistan is all in all whole, not a killer and terrorist group. Please don't try to convince us that you have a better recipe for our life. No, your recipe failed because of that was the agreement with the Taliban. So listen to us. take us to the table, negotiate with us like our generation, and listen to us what we do. Believe me, if you support the agenda of supporting the Taliban and you close your eyes to this a very fact and reality of Afghanistan, that is a multi-ethnic country, there will be another civil war. There will be another civil war, and that is not good agenda in general. This is what I believe.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. We have already ahead of the time, and we have many persons waiting for asking the question. So we take the last one, and we move to the next stage. So we take a question from Sahra Jafari.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wahab Ghafuri. I am a student of International Humanitarian Action in Bochum, master's program. And the agenda of the meeting is the happening of the past year in Afghanistan and outside Afghanistan. So let me share a story regarding Afghanistan that whenever I think of the past year happening in Afghanistan, the only thing that makes me very sad is the women's right, because I still remember, or whenever we talk about it in humanitarian context, I always talk about it that we can say that one of the biggest achievements of the past 20 years have been our women's and girls' achievement. And it's the only thing that makes me sad about the happening of the past year is that now those girls, those women, they don't have their rights anymore. And I remember the women who were business owners. I remember the women who were startup owners. I remember entrepreneur women. I remember women who were directors, who were managers of good organizations. Like personally speaking, the organization that I was working with, 40% of the employees were women. And now that's the very sad thing for me, that those women or those girls, they don't have their rights anymore. I still get a flashback of the streets of Kartechar. I still get flashbacks of the streets of Shorenau. I still get flashbacks of the street of Dasht Barchi with a very colorful society of both men and women, and especially our young generation of male and female. So that is a very sad thing, or a very personal story for me to how those women don't have their rights anymore. And also on a that was my point, but coming to my question is to Khanum Azra Jafari. Khanum Jafari, very happy to have you here today as a speaker, and very happy to be in this discussion with you. So my question is that since you have been in those let's say tough areas of Afghanistan, and you have held the position of the mayor in Daikundi. To be honest, those are very tough positions to hold for a male, and you had it as a female. I would like to know your experience during those times, but not only that, because you kind of touched those points, but I would like to specifically have your ideas of today's women, Afghan women in Afghanistan, that currently they are working or they are trying to have their voice in a very male-dominated society or in a Taliban-dominated society. As a woman that you have worked in those very harsh societies, being surrounded with the Taliban, being surrounded with the very harsh reality of our country, what do you suggest that today's girls, today's women, today's the young girls who would like to have their voice in today's Taliban society, and what ways they should navigate, or what ways they should go, say, so they could be at least they could have those normalities back. They could follow education. They could have their voices heard in today's society. What do you think of that? And also, on an optimistic note, I would say that I think we have been, as a nation, we have been through a lot of difficulties during last 40 years. And I hope that we could get back to our communities, our societies back, hopefully one day. But my question was to Khanam Jafari, and her suggestion to today's women and girls in Afghanistan and Kabul. How can they navigate their way through the society and the Taliban? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Jafari. Please make it short. We are already ahead of the time. Sorry.
Just I want to tell about this. As we know, women during these 20 years, they teach, they learn a lot. They taste freedom. They act in democracy space. They know very well. They are very well known about their rights. So they don't need today. They practice. They teach them. They know everything. For now, they know how they play. So the only things I think I can tell them is to just keep practicing their rights. They don't give up. They have to go to the street. They have to go to the. It means not even it needs them demonstrate. It means they go to start the normal life, but with caution. And also, I would like say to the Taliban and the people who and international countries. For the Taliban, I think there is not time they stop take women rights and then they keep them back to the behind the wall, because this is not the 20 years ago. Now the women, they educated, they practice, they worked, and they know how to act it and they how to react it. So they have to be more considerate about the women's rights. And then I think this is not the only card they can play with, but now the Taliban, they use this card to play with the international countries about the women's rights, only that they want to get more advantage. But I think this is not the only card they can use it. And then they have to support women's rights if they want be recognized as a government in the Afghanistan, or they want to start a negotiation with the other countries. The other things is for the international countries is, I think it is time to break down the silence. Since 20 months, we just watching, we just listening, and we just waiting what the Taliban they act. But now I think the Taliban, they passed the test. Everybody knows how they reacting. This group is never get changed. This group, the idea, I said the main point, it is ideology. The ideology is never get changed. So I think it is the time to start to action. Not the silence is enough, and then now they have to press the Taliban. They have to make a decision. They want support the women rights, human rights, and then ethnicity group rights, and they want to practice all ethnic group in Afghanistan. They have to be in this country or not. If they want, they have to start at something for to showing. And then if they don't want, so they have to make decision. Afghanistan is not possible to directed but by just only small groups that are terrorists. This group are terrorists. They killed people during the 20 years. During the 20 years plus the 6 years they was in the power. So I don't know. I as a victim, the people of Afghanistan as a victim, they cannot forgive all these crimes. How we can negotiate that with a group that they don't have policy, they don't know how to governance, they don't know it, they don't have educate, they don't have anything about the government. So how they can manage a country with 40 million people? This is really a big challenge for the Taliban. They have to recognize them as a government that is for everybody, and then it is a big challenge for the international. But for the women, I think women shouldn't lose their hope. They have to continue their fight. They have to continue raise their voice for their right. They have to have job. This is their right to have the job. They have they right to have work, and they right to have live like ordinary people, like a human. Over 50% of the population in Afghanistan, it is a woman. So how you can ban 50% of the population just sit behind the wall? Oh, it is not possible. And I, as a woman who served almost 6 years as a first female mayor, as a person who was role model for the women, I trained them, I work with them, and then still I work with that. It's more than 20 years I work for women's rights and advocate the women's rights and human rights in Afghanistan. I cannot accept all these things in Afghanistan, and I support and I work and fight until end of my day, I alive. And then what is the reason we are here right now? It is we have to make looking for the best solution for the women of Afghanistan and for the people of Afghanistan, how we have to deal with all this crisis in Afghanistan. And I am sure the hundreds of webinars, seminars, negotiation, it is all around the world. They are talking and looking for solution. And I think this is a good way. We have to come together. All women from all around the world, they have to stay hand by hand. They have to take their voice. They have to collect their ideas, and then they have to support the women who behind in Afghanistan. We cannot bring all women in from out of Afghanistan. We have to fight, and we have to stay in Afghanistan, connection with them, and then we have to support them, and we have to be a hope and voice for them outside of Afghanistan. So I think this is the big solution and the good started for women. I am so happy. I saw many young generation, young women who starting fighting for their right, and then they know how to start it and how they fight. This is a big, I think, achievement for women, and I would like to say congratulations to the women of Afghanistan who stay there and fight with their rights. And then for the woman who is out of Afghanistan, they trying to support the woman from Afghanistan with every single I think weapons they have, either their voice, right, either their writing, so whatever it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to our participants who asked the questions and to our speakers who respond. And I apologize to those who I couldn't take their question. At the end, if we still have time, we will get their questions. So now we will go to the next stage, that is panel discussion. that our speakers would share their thoughts for the future of women in Afghanistan. As we are already ahead of the time, only each speaker can speak in 2 minutes. So first I would invite Ms. Chiara Zappa.
Thank you. The first thing that I want to say is that I really happy and honored to listening to all your voices. So I think that listening these experiences, these voices, these talents gives a hope for the future of the country. Yes, you've been talking about the huge challenges and the big problems that there are, that we have to face. And I think that no one can hide that. That is a difficult job because of the political situation, and the social situation. But listening to you and listening to other people and women from Afghanistan, strong women, the ones who put the face on, and that we know the faces. The other one that maybe we don't know the faces, but we know that they are there and struggling and fighting. So that gives me hope. But it's not enough for me. So I would like to, since I know that it's a hard work, so I would like maybe you to tell us what we all should do to give a little help to this hope become a reality. So I see that the political situation, it's so difficult. Mrs. Jafari, she said the Taliban now, they should make a real decision and show what they want to do. I'm not optimistic in that way. So I don't know who else could push the Taliban go in a different direction. I really hope it's just the people of the country. I really hope they find the strength to push their own government to go another direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I invite Ms. Karimi.
Oh, thank you very much. I am very, always full of passion and everything. So, with all respect, I am not pro-Taliban and I will not be pro-Taliban. And I deeply believe that they are not going to be changed. So it is a naive, kind of naivety to think that they are going to be changed. I don't call them government. Please do not call them government. Afghanistan has a flag, national flag, and they are not representing us. They are just there because they wanted to be there, and they have some international supporters to be there. So, but whatever you are going to do with the Taliban, I mean international community, you cannot do anything without people of Afghanistan and without women of Afghanistan. Women of Afghanistan are very important. If you just deny to have them in any kind of conversation, you are going to face many difficulties with the very terrorist group. So I strongly believe that the international community should not recognize the Taliban. Maybe I am the only person on the earth that's fighting for this hashtag nowadays. And I strongly believe that whitewashing of the Taliban is not good. Please, international media, they stop whitewashing the Taliban. And please keep alive the conversation about Afghanistan in general. And especially please include the young generation of Afghanistan, women and men. And thank you very much for having this webinar and for having me with you. And I'm looking forward to hearing more and more about your beautiful activities in the future.
Thank you so much. Now I would invite Ms. Jafari.
Okay, I totally agree with Chiara about the Taliban. I don't know, maybe some misunderstanding. I just say because Taliban during this 1 year, they're trying to convince themselves to the international and to the Afghanistan people as a government, but without any clear clear plan. So that's why I said they have to make clear themselves. But of course, the people who make decision, who push the Taliban to get decision or sharing with all other people, it is the people of Afghanistan. And I said women is part of this population. It is over 50% of the population is a woman. And so this is very big number, and it is almost half of the population. And then at the end, I want to say, women in Afghanistan, I really get changed during these 20 years. And then they don't want to go back to 20 years back. So they will continue. Even the Taliban, they don't agree with them. Even the Taliban, they're trying to torture them. They're trying to arrest them. They're trying to bring them to the prison, or they kill them. But still, you see, women, they prove themselves. The first day of the Taliban, they came to the Afghanistan. They started and they stand in front of them, and then their slogan was very clear: work, education, and freedom. This is never get changed. And the Taliban, if they want to stay in that country, not as a government, but as a part of this, as a small part of government, they have to change these things, and they have to give these three important things for the women in Afghanistan. And then we are support them, and we are still with them, with the women of Afghanistan.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jafari. A bunch of thanks to our speakers. Now, if anyone has question, can raise hand or write in the chat for 3 minutes. So we take the question of Murtaza Muhiqi.
Yes. Hello. Thank you very much. Thanks for this great webinar. You know, in fact, I had the same question as the previous guest, which I think was answered. I just want to tell my experience as a law professor. I have many female students who message me that we see a very bleak future, dark future. You know, I really have no answer. Afghan women can do many things abroad, but what about women in Afghanistan, inside the country? What can they do? I think some answers were given, especially from your guest. Just I want to thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other question?
There is one from Masa.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for this great events that I think leads to gather and sharing ideas. I ask two questions from Ms. Sahra Karimi. I want to know, is she determined to protect another movies that related to Afghan women and reflects their lives. And another question, my question is from our journalist guest, that I want to ask that, does she think that it is better, does she think it is better to reflect more news about Afghan women that they do not forget? Because most of news in every TV program, in every column in newspaper, mostly is about Ukrainian people. And I think that Afghan women unfortunately forget. It's very important to reflect their news. Is there any program to more cover news of Afghan women? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you want, Chiara, do you want to answer first?
Go ahead.
Of course.
About, I didn't understand exactly what you asked, but I think a bit it was about the story of women in Afghanistan in film industry.
میخوام بدونم که آیا شما برنامه دارید که یک فیلم دیگه ای راجع به زنان افغانستان بسازید از بعد دیگه؟
Yeah, you know, I'm a filmmaker, so I continue my job. Even I am outside of Afghanistan, I continue my job. And I think femininity, womanhood is a very universal subject. It is not specifically about women of Afghanistan. And there are almost millions of women from Afghanistan. They are refugees and they are immigrants outside of Afghanistan. And they are facing many struggles, and those struggles are not just because they are immigrants or refugees. Those struggles, the source and the origin of those struggles that they are facing today is coming from the Afghanistan. It is coming from our tradition. It is coming from our culture. So my way of filmmaking is a very it is about relationship of women with themselves, with the society, with their family. It is about the process of discovering themselves, because I believe that femininity and womanhood is not a project, it is a process, and the process is a very long thing. And one thing about I'm so positive about stories of Afghanistan in general and stories of women of Afghanistan, that we have like maybe 7 to 8 very good filmmakers, film directors, filmmakers, and 5 of these filmmakers are women. And so it means that majority of these female filmmakers are from ethnic minority. So we are not just going to tell stories like just to be pleased, okay? We are going to tell stories that are telling a lot of issues about us. I myself am now preparing my next film, Flight from Kabul, which is about the evacuation time in Afghanistan, but it is not about evacuation, it is about Afghanistan in 20 years before, and it is a story of a very empowered woman and her life and her relationship. For example, Roya Sadat, she another filmmaker, she is preparing her second film. Sharbanu Sadat, she is preparing her next film, and the other women that they are filmmakers, they are preparing their films. So at least I'm very happy that next year or next years we have many films to provide to international filmmakers community. So we continue because we don't have any choice, and I continue because I don't have any choice. I am a storyteller, and just wish us good luck.
Thank you very much. I hope to.
I answered about the question. I answered the question about the media. Yes, it's true. All the media at the moment are focusing on Ukraine. At least here in Italy, probably because it is a near war that we feel very close, but also because it's a big political matter in Europe and even in Italy. You know, political forces and parties have been arguing a lot about whether supporting Ukraine or not, whether sending weapons to Ukraine or not, or if banning Russian gas or not, and so on. So, and I think it's a strong example, a clear example of propaganda at this moment in media, unfortunately, in Italy. But coming to Afghanistan, that's a fact that Afghanistan was completely almost completely forgotten, apart from you know, the days around the mid-August, when there was the first anniversary of the Taliban coming to Kabul, and so someone you know, remembered about Afghanistan, and there was some journalists going there covering few days, maybe you know, interviewing the Taliban and so on, or also trying to understand how people go on trying to cope. But it was something very it was you know, like two parentheses, and that's it. I think that to be honest, that with the big media groups, we won't see a big alternative of this, because the big media group, you know, they are very depending on politics and on what is considered the public opinion will. In a superficial way, as usual, because probably if the people were more informed about some things and some issues, they probably would be more interested in knowing how people live around the world, and in this case, how women live in Afghanistan. So I think one of the possible answers is in small media groups, alternative group, sometimes independent groups. They are trying to do a good job, trying to cover stories that are outside you know, the focus at the moment. And so I think there is a chance for people to find information in these small groups, and probably if anyone, you know, could share on social media this information from alternative sources, I think it could be a good way to make the information go around and it's not hidden in small groups.
Thank you so much. As we coming to the end of the program, I would say one of the goals of the Associazione Solidarietà Donne per le Donne is to empower Afghan women, and we are trying our best to be the voice of Afghan women at the national and international levels. Nowadays, journalists, filmmakers, and women's rights and advocates are voice of the voiceless women of Afghanistan, the women who are forgotten in the past 1 year. And the way we heard from our three speakers, hoping for the day that Afghan women's voice will be heard by the world. And I would like to take the time again and thank you for your presence. We are honored by Global Campus, who always support us unconditionally, particularly conducting webinars such this. We also extended our heartiest gratitude to our brilliant speakers, Ms. Azra Jafari, Ms. Chiara Zappa, and Ms. Sahra Karimi, who enlightened our thoughts with their noble experiences. We appreciate everyone who contributed to this program. Last but of course not least, we thank everybody for their patience and their participation in this webinar. Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.